Hi everybody, welcome to TapRooT Live today, and today it's going to be myself and Chris Vallee today. We're going to be talking a little bit about some other uses of TapRooT that we would wish people would use more often, I guess I'd say. We're used to talking about TapRooT with major investigations, with our major investigations process. And then for low to medium risk kind of things, but we'd like to talk to you a little bit more about even smaller problems that you can work with TapRooT. So today Chris and I are going to kind of give you some examples of that, and maybe walk you through an example of what that would look like.
Cool.
So the first thing I'd like to do is let's talk about those three stages, and what I'm going to do is shift over to our software here and show you just a little bit about what these different kinds of investigations would look like. So for example, a major investigation is kind of what people think about when they think of a problem, I guess, right? They think of a large release or a large fire or something like that. Maybe a major injury, somebody gets hurt. And this might be an example of that. Here's an environmental problem that we used during one of our courses. You can see this is a little more complex, probably using some of our optional data gathering tools to help you figure this out. So interviewing techniques that you'll have to engage in this. This is, again, a little bit more complex and something that you'd probably have to do several times as you're working your way through an investigation. This is what we teach during our 5-day course. Right? So that's one example of a major investigation. Another investigation that you might work on is what we would call a low to medium risk kind of investigation, and that might be something more like this, where somebody has a minor issue, and you decide to do an investigation on that, and it's a relatively simple problem, and doesn't take a lot of extra tools, and this is our 2-day course kind of stuff, right? Our low to medium risk kind of problems. And these are the ones that we hope, I think you and I both see in our courses, that a lot of people they seem to concentrate on that big stuff, right? I think you probably see the same thing, right? With the major investigations is what people think about. But we'd like people to be thinking about these lower risk kind of problems also, right?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, even with the small level, moderate level investigations, every causal factor, like employee slips, that you make go away, you're lowering a probability for a big incident. That's and that actually kind of ties to what we're going to talk about today. Is there's a lot of behaviors, a lot of issues that you can help make safer, even before they get to an incident where somebody fell down a staircase. So you don't have to wait for that.
That's exactly right. So before I go into this next topic, let's have a little discussion here if we can. And discuss a little bit about the kind of incident that we might be working on here. So an example that I was thinking about is, up in North Dakota where they're doing all this drilling up there. They don't have a lot of pipelines in place yet. And I was up there teaching a course a couple of years ago, and there's tanker trucks everywhere, right? Just going to each of these individual well sites, taking oil from each individual well, and then taking it to a central tank location. And I like to ask the students, I said, so do you ever go out and watch your people do the simple jobs? So for example, up there in North Dakota, do you ever watch your employees hook up that tanker truck to the tank farm? Do you ever watch them do that? And there's a lot of opportunity there to see problems, right? I think we only think about an issue there when we actually have a spill or a leak, and we say, oh, we need to go investigate, but probably if I just walk up there and watch this guy hook up to his truck up to the tank farm, I'm probably going to see other issues there. So for example, what if we find that these tank trucks, while you're there doing the audit, while you're watching the guy, maybe he's parked on that one particular truck pad that's at just a little bit of an angle, right? Well, that's not a big deal because we have air brakes on the truck and we have chocks for the wheels. But what if that tanker truck guy doesn't have any chocks? Maybe he doesn't have any. We go out there and do the audit and he has no chocks. Well, that would be an issue, right? But that's not a big deal because I have air brakes at work. Well, now what happens if he's parked on that one pad without any chocks and he has a problem with the air system and his air brakes fail? Now we all of a sudden have this big environmental problem where the truck's rolled away and we've spilled oil all over. So you can easily go and do a quick investigation on those kinds of things, right? You don't have to wait until you get the oil spilled. Those problems have always been there.
Exactly.
Right? So let's go back to the software here. We're going to take a quick look at a possible example here. And I have just an audit here. So you can do this as an audit. And I'm going to open up a snap chart again on this. Now remember, in an audit, there's no incident, right? You don't have an incident there. But you probably would identify several significant issues that are problems.
Exactly.
So let's take those look at those significant issues that I had just kind of mentioned as an example. Let me just pull these over here quick. And one of those significant issues, for example, we said might be that there are a driver did not use chocks, right? That could be a significant issue here. So we would probably call that a significant issue here. Okay, so oops, I forgot to finish typing that. Driver did not use chocks. Okay, so there's our problem, and we could call that a significant issue at that point. And we said the other issue was
parked on an incline.
The truck was parked on an incline. Truck was parked on an incline. Okay, so we put that in there too, right, as a possible problem here. I can't spell today, obviously, but the truck was parked on an incline, and that would be a significant issue. And then the last issue we said is that the air brakes failed, right, the parking brakes.
Well, let's just say we have malfunction in air brakes.
Okay, that's a good way to phrase it. Okay, so now his brakes aren't working properly. So we've got another issue here, and those could all be significant issues. And you can probably imagine that all three of these normally don't occur at the same time. Right. You're normally not parked on that one pad that has the incline, or you're not. Your air brakes normally work just fine.
Right.
And most of our drivers are using chocks. So when we go out and do our audit, we don't have to write this big, long, drawn-out snap chart of this enormous problem that we had, because this isn't an enormous problem. And we could just come down here and say, well, he didn't use chocks. And we could run that through our root cause tree right now and see what kinds of problems there might be. Now, if you're not sure what the problems are, you could pull out a root cause tree right now and just kind of go take a look. Or you may just decide to do the root cause analysis right now, and while you're doing the root cause analysis, so I'm going to pull up our root cause tree, you could do the root cause analysis right now and just very quickly say, well, was this a human performance? And say, well, yeah, he was a human error. He's supposed to use chocks. And because of that, we then go down through and ask, well, was he fatigued? Was he distracted? Was he overwhelmed? Did he, down the bottom down here, did he not use the right equipment for this? Was it displays, alarms, controls, tools, or equipment identified or operated improperly? Yeah, he didn't use the right chocks, right? So we'd be able to say yes to this, and as you're working through, you would work through this root cause analysis, and as you discover information about this, you could ask, was he fatigued? And say, well, I forgot to ask him that. Let me go ask. And you talk to the guy real quick, maybe make a phone call, ask him if he was fatigued, and you'd add that to the root cause tree. Now, all this, again, obviously is going to be added to your snap chart, and maybe down underneath here on our investigation, as we're very quickly asking some questions, we may find that, for example, maybe supply had them on back order, had chocks on back order. And maybe we'd find out that there was no substitute number. So this guy the supply guys didn't realize that they could pull up a substitute for these chocks. And there might be other things that you'd find in here about why the chocks weren't being in there. Maybe the guys had no good way of telling their supervisor that they didn't have chocks. There was no meetings in the mornings with their supervisors. Or there's a lot of stuff in here that would contribute to the driver not using the right chocks. And this would just take you a couple of minutes to run through, I think, to be able to find out some really good root causes for this. So I'm encouraged sometimes thinking that maybe people could use TapRooT not just for major investigations where the sky is falling, or not even just for the minor stuff where somebody trips and falls and has a minor injury. I hate calling that minor; it's an injury. I understand, but it's not complex.
Right.
I would call it, right?
Now, and a couple things to think about it. If you look at the driver did not use chocks, truck was parked on an incline, malfunctioning air brakes. A lot of times these problems are already documented somewhere else, except we never get to see them in one place.
Oh, good point.
The brakes are in maintenance, fleet's maintenance records, so no one's really tracking that. The driver not using chocks shows up on a safety card right up somewhere, and it goes to a different system. The truck incline may be on a risk assignment assessment on GSA. So all these things are in independent places.
Right.
So we never see what potential we have for a vehicle to roll and someone to get hurt. And what's neat is when you open up the root cause tree, there's a question that says, has this happened before? Have we had issues with chalk issues before? Have we had issues with the brakes not working before? So in TapRooT, we make you go look anyway. Well, if you identify the problems have been repetitive,
Right.
but no incidents, then we already had the opportunity to look at why they're occurring.
That's a great point. And a lot of times there's no way to identify that they're repetitive because they're spread out amongst different systems. So this is a great way to not just say driver didn't use chocks, corrective action, counsel the driver on the importance of putting chocks in his wheels. I think he already knows that. What we really want to understand on this very simple audit, again, not an incident, just an audit, is why didn't the driver use these chocks? And there's many reasons. It's not because he's a bad guy. It's because supply didn't give him the right stuff and supply didn't know they could order a substitute. So wouldn't it be cool is after this audit, you go out and find these root causes that, hey, supply didn't know that there was a substitute. You could go have them order those. You pick those up the next day, take them out to the driver and say, here's your chocks. Yeah. And now your employees are saying, wow, they came out and watched me. They didn't yell at me when they found a problem. And they actually fixed it. They actually came out with an answer. And from now on, supply now knows that they can order these substitute chocks. And by the way, we could probably do a really quick check, a generic check here, see if our other drivers are missing chocks in their wheels. And if they are, we got the answer now. Easy to go fix.
And here's the last two benefits. You have every behavior and every problem you get to go away, you lower the likelihood of a future incident or near hit.
Right.
Also, you get to practice very quickly on the process. See, if you do happen to have a big incident, you don't have to go, what's the root cause tree look like? Because you already remember what the stuff is and you're ready. There's no competency issues, and it keeps it refreshed, and it takes 30 to 40 minutes to do one quick behavior.
If that,
to prevent multiple issues.
That's right. And so, you don't want to, this is a great opportunity to use TapRooT. We recommend at least once a month.
Yes.
At least once a month. And this is a great way to do that if you don't do a full investigation.
Exactly.
So we teach this on our 5-day courses. We teach on how to do audit and use this as an auditing tool. We also have a separate auditing course that's available if that's something that you're interested in to see how you would possibly go do audits and use TapRooT to do root cause analysis on the audit process. So there's a lot of opportunities to see how to use this and go practice it. And like Chris said, it's such a nice way to very easily and quickly keep yourself refreshed and ready to go on TapRooT, so that when something really bad does happen once a year, you're not scrambling to figure out how to do it. So
exactly,
terrific. Great.
It's also fun. It's a great communication tool, because if you're going out there and you get to talk to the employees to find out what's going on, they're listening to you. They know you're listening to them.
That's right.
You can even learn how somebody parks a truck better than others, and it just opens up the door in a very non-threatening environment, so that they know you're out. TapRoot's out there to help, so are we. That's just a great opportunity.
It really is, yeah. So again, don't wait for major stuff. Heck, don't even wait for just the everyday, the minor stuff. Go out there every day and take a look at what things can we do to help our employees, and use the full root cause analysis tool to make sure that you're not missing anything as you're doing that. So
exactly, cool,
great, awesome.
Thanks for inviting me, Ken.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. That was excellent. And so please let us know if you have any questions or comments on that. You can put comments on our website. We're also going to have this up on YouTube and ready to go, so you can take a look there. And we look forward to seeing you in a course sometime. Cool. So thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.